Okay, so we're going to open up a project, and it is activity 512 start, and you will remember this, you'll recognize it from previous activity. If it doesn't connect up to your assets in the project panel, you know how to reconnect. You'll find these assets, this illustrator file, in a previous activity, so you know how to connect up, but it should find it. So we're going to animate this pre-comp first. So we've got this real pre-comp. I'm going to double click to open it up, and you'll see we've got all these different layers. So what we're going to do is we want everything to kind of pop up first and then rotate, sort of like a kind of three-dimensional reel, movie reel. So I'm going to start with the bottom layer, that's the clouds layer. So I'm going to solo that layer. I'm also going to make the other layers shy so that I can get them out the way. So there, I've made them all shy. Then I'm going to click on the make shy master switch. So I'm just looking at clouds. And then I'm going to press S for scale. So at 1.5 seconds, roughly, I want these clouds to animate into their resting position, which is what you see now. So I'm going to click the stopwatch on at 1.5 seconds to basically say this is where I want it to end up. So the next thing is I want it to go back a few frames. So 1, 2, 3 frames. I'm just using my preview panel here, and then I want to scale it so that it's a little bit bigger. So I'm going to go up a bit, say to about 120%. Then I'm going to go back again, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to scale it down to about 70%. Well, let's make it 80. And then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to scale it up to about 130%. And then I'm going to go back to 1 second. Actually a little bit further back than 1 second, a few extra frames. Then I'm going to set it to 0%. Okay, so if I use my keyframe shuttle here to move from keyframe to keyframe, it goes 0%, 130, 80, 120, 100. So let's see what that looks like if I play it back. So it kind of like pops up, like a spring-loaded pop-up something. Alright, I'm happy with that. So now I'm going to take that animation, so I'm just going to click on the word scale, which selects all my keyframes, and I'm going to copy. So Command or Control C. I'm going to unsolo that layer and unshy all my other layers. And then what I want to do is I want to just move my playhead slightly around 1 second and paste onto the different layers, so they all kind of pop up at different points. So I don't want everything to be on 1 second, because then they'll all pop up at the same time. So for clouds 2, I'm going to go back a little bit further and then paste, Command or Control V. And then for the next layer up, I'll just move it into a slightly different position, paste, and just keep going, just moving it around a few frames different for each one. And I'm doing this very randomly. For all the minibuses, I'm going to select them all together, and I'm just going to do those in one go. And then the film reel will be the last one, so I'm going to go a little bit further on, like to almost 1.5 seconds, and do that one. So let's play this back now. So from there, I'm just going to play it, and you can see everything kind of pops up nicely. Let me play it from the beginning. Okay, that's what I want. So it's kind of this like spring-loaded pop-up thing. The next thing I want is for it to rotate. So remember, we parented all layers to the rotation control null object. So that's what I'm going to rotate. So at 0 seconds, I'm going to press R, put the stopwatch on for rotation. Then I'm going to go all the way to the end of the comp, and I'm going to set it to 1 full rotation. That's actually, I'm going to set it to not to 1 full rotation. I'm going to set it to 270 degrees. It's a little bit slower in 1 full rotation. So if I play this back, you can see it's rotating nicely. Now I want to adjust each layer, not every single layer because that's too many, but for the key layers I want to just animate that rotation a little bit faster. So I'm going to go down to clouds 1 and hit R, go back to 0 seconds, and let's put the stopwatch on for rotation, and let's go to the end and let's set that to 90 degrees. So what that means is it's going to be the 270 degrees of the parent plus the 90 degrees of itself. So if I now play this back, you'll see that that clouds layer is going slightly faster than everything else. Okay, then I'm going to go to clouds 2, press R, back to 0 seconds, put the stopwatch on, and I'll set this layer to 180 degrees. So it goes slightly faster than the first cloud layer. So now we have those clouds going at their own speeds. Alright, then I'm going to take the city, all these city layers, and I'm going to pre-compose them into one. So right click, pre-compose, and I'll just call it city. Make sure move all attributes is on and uncheck open new composition. And now for this layer, rotation, stopwatch on at 0 seconds, and we go to the end, and we're going to make this go at 270. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so the city's going, I think the city should be going faster than that actually. So let's go to here and let's set that to 360, which is 1 full rotation. Let's see if that's going to make a difference. Oh, okay, so the problem here is that because I pre-composed, it's no longer parented to the rotation control. So I'm just going to click here and choose rotation control. So now it's probably going to be going super fast. Yeah, so the city's going too fast now, so I'm going to go back here, change it back to 180. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, then we have the palms and the minibuses. I'm going to select all of those together. And I'm going to pre-compose those and just call them palms and minibuses. And I'm going to parent that to the rotation control. And I'm not going to do any rotation with those. Then for the film reel, I'm going to hit R, go to 0 seconds, put the stopwatch on, and I want that to be going the fastest, so I'm going to set that to 1 full rotation. So it's that 270 of the rotation control plus the full rotation. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, so I think that the film reel needs to be going a bit faster. Let me just see what it looks like here. Just a little bit faster. So let's set the film reel to 1 full rotation and 180 degrees. Let's see what that looks like. That looks better. Alright, so now that we've done the animations in our reel, we can go back to the city reel and those animations will be fed through because it's a pre-comp. So let's go back here and let's render this and see what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just letting it render through once, and then it'll play back in real time. Okay, real time. Okay, so that's a nice little animation. I know that some of the minibuses are going backwards, which is probably not uncharacteristic of minibuses, but it gives you an idea of how you can animate things, and you can animate pre-comps. Now, one more thing that I want to point out is if you look a little bit closely at this, can you see that some of the artwork is quite blurry? And that's because of one important setting. So if I go back to the reel here, and you'll see that if I just close up all my layers, you'll see that there is a column here with this little sun, and if I hold on it, it says collapse transformations, and for vector continuously rasterize. So what that means is any scaling of vector graphics means it will go back to the original vector graphic and rasterize that so that you always get a sharp result. So let's actually zoom in here so that you can see that in action. So if I go to here where you can see it's quite blurry, and let's put that on for all of these. Okay, and then also for these pre-comps, so for city, we're going to put that all on. Go back to reel for palms, put those all on. Back here, and then for city reel, we need to go to toggles, and we also need to put it on for everything there. So you can see it's much sharper now, so it will remain sharp all the time. So it's really important for vector graphics, because remember that After Effects works in pixels. It's basically a raster application. So all vector layers, even though it says Illustrator, are actually rasterized continuously. So if you don't put that continuous rasterization on, you might scale up a vector graphic and it might end up being pixelated. So important to put that on. Alright, so once you've finished this activity, you're going to render this out. So make sure this comp is active at the bottom. Composition. Add to Adobe Media Encoder, Q. Okay, and here is your city reel. So I'm going to take the bouncing things out. If you've got it there, you can just delete it. H.264, YouTube 1080p Full HD. Make sure that you put it somewhere. So I'm just going to put mine on my desktop, and then press your Start Q and let it render through. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and see you next time.